welcome to spring, the last. We'll draw on the energies of this season today during our class. We'll start, as usual, in a seated position. Now, if you prefer, you can also start in the Virasana position, and you can support yourself as much as you need, either with a blanket or you can sit on a block. So if that feels better for you, you can also finish in that pose right at the end if you'd like. And once you cross your feet, take your hands to your feet and just pull the feet apart, pull the toes apart a little bit. Just stimulate the feet for a second or two here. And make sure you set your feet in a way that feels somewhat comfortable, understanding that one leg is in front, so it is going to feel slightly different than the one behind. And then lean forward, and as you lean forward, draw the flesh of the buttocks back. And then take your hands off to the sides and bring attention to the torso. So having established the foundation of the pose via the legs, the feet, and the hips, bring a level of establishment to the upper body. As you inhale, think about lifting the body off the hips, using the breath to support that lift. Take the breath into the back of the ribs and feel the lift of the back of the ribs, the swelling of the ribs. And then think about lifting the side body up all the way to the back of the armpit. And then take your two arms and lift them up into the Urdhva Hastasana position. Lift. Notice how the knees maybe want to lift as well. Try to keep an awareness there and bring the palms together. And then extend the two arms forward, reaching the two hands away from the torso. And then bring the elbows in. Let the inner part of the elbow touch the side ribs and then bring the palms in toward the sternum chest. Close your eyes. As you exhale, go inward. So take a moment and draw a big circle with the face right in front of you, very slowly. Directly in front of you. Make that circle a little bigger. Each time. And then reverse the circle. You can start really big. Listen to the sound that your neck is making as you draw these circles. And then bring your head back, placing the head right on top of the spine. Inviting the breath. Focusing on the breath will help calm the mind. It will help relieve anxiety. And for this hour or so in our class today, I invite you to just try to suspend yourself for an hour, detaching from some of the thoughts, worries, concerns, anxieties that you've been experiencing. And allow yourself to focus more internally. The physicality of the body engaging with the breath. Then we will chant 3 Oms. Om. 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 Yogena Chittasya Vedena Vacham Malam Sharigasya Yava Yogena Yopa Karatam Pravaramanina Patanjalim Pranjaliranatusmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasi Darinam Sahasara Shirsam Shwetam Prananami Patanjalim Hari Om. Bow your head. Release your hands. Lift your head. And open your eyes. All right. So go ahead and take your strap and make a loop in your strap. You can tell Mario rolled my strap for me because it's perfectly rolled. Me, not so much. So yeah, we'll make a loop. Now the loop is going to be a small loop. Fairly small, about shoulder width. About this. Don't want it too wide. We're going to slide the strap through the 2 arms here and around the elbows. And then you can sit in Virasana or you can sit in Sukhasana. And again, if you want to modify, put a block under your hips or a blanket behind you. Now, take the hands forward and move the hands apart. So you really feel the tension of the strap and then start to lift the arms. Now the strap is informing the pose to a large degree. Now have the strap very close to the elbows, just now on the upper part of the arm, that's near the bicep. And then turn your palms forward and then out to the 2 sides. Now draw the right arm down into the shoulder socket, and then you see how it's a little bit lopsided, if you can see what I'm doing. And then you'll draw the other one down to create a sense of symmetry and evenness there. Keep turning the palms. It's okay if the strap is touching your head, that's fine. Don't worry too much about that. In fact, it may be a good thing because it keeps an awareness to the position of the head. Now lift both arms up and then turn the palms back in and all the way back if you can, and then bring the 2 arms back into their sockets simultaneously. It should feel somewhat different. And then bring the 2 arms forward again. So this time we're going to turn the palms face up and push into the outer edges of the strap here. So the outer arms pushing into the strap. Feel how that impacts the upper part of the shoulder here. And try to breathe right into that space, that upper shoulder area. Try to let the breath really go in there. softening the shoulders as you exhale. Take another big inhale. Softening as you exhale. And now turn the palms all the way in and out. So you're going to turn the palms back in toward each other and then all the way out. And then lift the arms up one more time. Big inhale. Exhale, come forward. Few more breaths, pushing into the strap. Look at your hands and notice which hand is turned in more. So I see my left hand turned in just a little bit more. I'm trying to correct that and bringing a little bit more of that into the right. Good, and then release. So we're going to come onto the hands and the knees. We're going to take the strap again and place the strap around the elbow area. Bring your hands forward and walk your hands a good amount apart. So you feel that tension in the strap. And then take downward facing dog. You may have to walk your hands out even further. Now you're looking at the strap right between the two edges of the strap. I'm going to try to tuck my head down. Notice how this brings a lot of awareness into the shoulders. Now stretch the heels down and lift the hips up at the same time. Bring a little bit more effort into the calf muscles. So you're sensing the arms. See if you can also sense the legs. Good. Lift your head and release. Bring the knees down. Point your toes back. And just keep the strap for a moment and take child's pose. I still want that tension in the arms here. And then I'm going to turn my palms face up, opening the thumbs. You may need to walk your hands out even more because I still want that tension in the strap. Good. Bring your hands back down and come on back up. So now I'm going to take the strap around the legs. I'm going to step into the strap. Should be about the same, maybe a little bit tighter. I'm going to bring the strap initially around the calf. And I'm going to walk the feet apart. And then I'm going to bring my hands down and come into downward facing dog. And for this one, you do need to walk your feet a good amount apart. Try to turn your heels out slightly. And when you feel that tension, then that's it. You've got it. Notice how it's engaging the legs. It may feel like your heels are turning in. So you want to try to get the heels to turn slightly out. Notice how it's impacting the upper part of the leg. Notice how it's also impacting the hip. There's a spreading of the sacrum. Good. Now walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana. We're still going to keep the tension in the strap. Same position here. I'm just going to come forward into the forward fold. With the strap supporting you in this way, it makes the forward fold much easier because you're engaging the legs to such a degree that it supports the forward bend.
the releasing of the torso away from the hips. It's a great way to practice the Uttanasana. Take your hands back to the sacrum and just touch the top of the buttocks there in the sacrum and feel how the sacrum feels. Just because of this effort in the legs, the sacrum feels like it's spreading out to the sides, giving you some space there. It's going to be great for your low back. Now, take the strap and move it up to the middle of the thigh. Take Uttanasana again. You may want to take your heels just a little bit wider, but again, the heels turn out just ever so slightly. Pushing against the edges of the strap. Causing the thighs to engage. Take your hands back to the sacrum again and draw the top of the flesh, top of the buttock flesh out. Feel that widening, spreading of the sacral band. And then bring your hands back down. You're going to step your feet, your hands forward. You're going to step your feet back, trying to maintain that tension. Heels turned out slightly, downward facing dog. Pressing against the strap with the thighs. Make sure you walk your feet maybe a little bit wider. A little bit wider apart. Heels turned out. Notice how much effort now goes into the legs here. Because you don't typically get this much effort without the strap. Yeah, and bring your knees down. Keep your feet apart for this child's pose. Walk your knees out. You're not going to be able to walk out very much, but this is really great for your low back as well. This version of child's pose, coming in slowly, pushing the hands into the floor, maintaining some of that tension in the strap as much as you can. Release the head. Excellent. You're going to come up, curl your toes under, back up to downward facing dog. Just a few breaths here. And then we're going to walk the feet forward, back to Uttanasana. You're going to keep your feet pretty wide. And now I'm going to bend the knees. I'm leaning the chest forward. I'm trying to get the ribs. You can take your hands to the rib cage and move the ribs forward as you set the hips back. And then take the two arms forward. Reach. Sit bones are back, hips are back. And then start to lift the two arms, keeping that tension in the strap. You may not get too high, that's okay. And then exhale again, release the hands down. And then inhale, come all the way up, straight legs. Hold it here, Urdhva Hastasana. Again, pressing into the inside borders of the strap. And then release the two arms down. Stand in Tadasana now with the straps. Keeping the strap right there. Keeping the strap right around the middle of the thigh here. Walk your feet as much apart as you need to. And come into Tadasana. Look at your feet. Make sure that your feet are equally pressing into the floor. Press into the strap. And then walk your feet in. And you're just going to slide the strap down. Come out of the strap. And stand now with your feet apart, feet together. Now, feel how different this is. Really challenging to engage the legs to that specificity that we just had. But see if you can draw on any of that to create a little bit more effort in the legs. Stand up tall. And just close your eyes for a moment. And then open your eyes. Take your right foot and cross it over. Bring it over a good amount. And then take the two arms up. And then reach the two arms forward. And bring the hands to the toes. So if you can, you'll grab the big toes with the first two fingers. And again, you're bringing attention to the sacrum in this pose. Now take your left hand and bring it over towards your right toe. You can take your right hand onto your, your left leg. It's hard to tell. The crossed over one in the back, and then you're going to turn slightly to the right. And then release, inhale with the two arms forward, come all the way up and step the 2 feet back. Urdhva Hastasana, and then Tadasana. Breathe. Let's take a few breaths here. Now we're going to step to the other side. So from Tadasana, lift your left foot and step. Now get a good distance from the right foot. Try to have them somewhat even here. Toes pretty much on the same plane. Inhale the two arms up. Exhale, slowly come forward. I'm trying to bring a lot of attention to this area in the lower part of the back. And then if you can, just take hold of the big toes. If not, don't worry about it. You can even press the hands into the ankles. Then you'll take your left hand, you just place it on the shin there, and take your right hand over to the big toe and turn your torso to the left. Excellent. Release. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, release and step the 2 feet back to Tadasana. Pick up your right foot. Reach your right arm under and take hold of the foot. Whoops, and bring it up pretty high. Bring that foot up pretty high. And then just hold the foot with your left hand and release the right knee. Don't push into the knee. And then take your right arm out to the side. Lift the right arm up. And then release the foot, release the arm. All right, let me get my mat a little bit straighter here. Let's move to the second side. So standing firmly, get that heel, that right heel to press into the floor. Get the ball of the foot also to press into the floor. Lift your left foot up, take the heel up. Now the heel will drop a little bit as you then hold the foot and bring the knee down. Take your left arm and bring it out. Take your left arm and bring it up. Just be in your body. And then release the arm back. And release the foot. Big inhale, 2 arms up over the head, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhaling into Uttanasana. Try to draw on the memory of the strap being around the calf, being around the head, the thigh. And if you engage those 2 areas, you're going to feel like the sacral band is spreading and giving you more space. Good. And then inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, release. We're going to come back to our strap for one more pose here. Now, this time you're going to make a big loop in your strap. Very big, generous loop. I think I have this strap that I'm using here is a 10-foot strap. They're the best, I think, because they just cover pretty much every pose. So if you are in the market for a strap, try to get a long one, 10 inches with this cinch buckle here. This snap buckle is great. And then you're going to step your 2 feet into the strap and then walk your feet apart. And then this is where you'll bring the strap around the calf and you'll tighten it. So you want to tighten it a good amount, and then so go low on the calf. Yeah. And then try to turn your heels out. So it's the lower part of the calf. You're just going to hold the ankles here. You can actually put your hand right over the strap to keep it in place. And then you're going to bend the elbows and roll the elbows slightly forward. Press into the strap, press into the hands, and release the head. Just that amount of effort that's going into the legs here is going to have the impact of giving you that space in the low back. Lift your kneecaps. Good. Then you can just see if you can hold it here for a couple of breaths. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to drop the strap down and bring it around the heel. And then press the heels, the outer edge of the heel into the strap. Turn your toes in a little bit here. And then take the arms wide and lift the arms up. Interlock your fingers. So now, drawing on the feet here to bring that level of effort into the legs. Getting a shoulder release as well here at the same time. And then release your arms. Now keep in the tension in the strap. Walk your heels out even more. Take the arms wide and inhale, come up, but keeping all that effort. And bring your hands together right at the heart. Now turn your toes out slightly and bend your knees. If you have the buckle around the foot, make sure you move it out. So toes are turned out slightly. Lift the arms up. Draw the knees apart. Set the sit bones down. Hold the navel in. 3 more big breaths. That's the lion's breath. Open the mouth as you exhale. And then come all the way up. Release the arms. And step out of the strap. Step your right foot forward and your left foot back, not a huge distance. Bend your left knee and set your right heel down on the ground and take your hands and press into the right quadricep. It may help you to put a block under the ball of the foot. The leg stretches, the low back releases. Good, come up. So if you like the block, use the block on the second side. Try it if you haven't. Just place the ball of the foot against the block. Your right foot is back. Your left leg is going to stay straight. You're going to bend your right knee. What's happening here, you're getting 2 different stretches. Take your hands onto the thigh there. Move your torso forward. Reach the chest forward. You're feeling like you're gradually lowering the torso, but that's not the intention. The intention is to come forward through the chest, pressing into the thigh, getting a deep stretch in the back of the left leg, and then noticing what's going on back here. Feeling this one a lot in the calf. Good, come on up. All right, now the next one we're going to do here is from a Tadasana position. You'll shift away to your left foot and pick up your right foot. Take the hand around, take the back hand, the left hand around, and then bring the knee back. I want to get into the quad now. Getting into that right quadricep. Stretching the entire quadricep area from the hip to the knee. Bring the knee back slightly. Bring the heel in a little more. Can you touch the buttock with the heel? There it is. Elbows back and release. Now, if it's challenging balance-wise, you can always set your hand on a chair or some other object that's stable, because the goal is not really so much balance. The goal is to get the stretch. And these are all going to have the impact of the release of the low back.
So all the poses up to this point pretty much are in service of the low back. Shift the weight now to your right foot, pick up your left, and hands around the foot. My knee starts off a little bit forward, and then I'm going to bring it back. That's where I start to initiate the stretch. And then the heel comes in, that stretches it more. Knee back, heel in. They're the two actions that go into stretching the quadriceps. If you're working on your balance, that's great, but make sure you're getting the stretch as well. Balance poses are great poses because they focus your attention right on the body rather than the mind. Get that heel in. Can you touch the buttock? And then release. Right. I'm going to take downward dog one more time. I'm going to take the blocks for down dog. And I'm going to hold on to the two blocks. If you don't have two blocks, just use the hands on the floor, regular pose. But this one, if you have it, do it because it brings the legs into an optimal stretch. Think about the strap around the lower leg. Think about the strap around the feet. Think about the strap around the upper leg. Bringing it all together here. And then walk your 2 feet in. Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Bring the feet all the way in together now. And take Utkatasana with the arms forward. And then very slowly lifting the arms up into the chair position. Oh. Squeeze the legs in together. And then exhale forward. Straighten the legs. And we'll do that once more. Bend your knees. Feel your ribs move slightly forward. Take the arms now and reach them forward. And then from here, wherever you can go. If you go here, that's fine. If you get to here, that's great. That's hard. That's why it's called Utkatasana. Hard, challenging, difficult pose. This time, we're going to come all the way up and release the two arms down. Take the hands to the heart. Close your eyes. Now, don't bring too much effort into the body. Just listen to the blood rate, the heart rate. You're going to make circles with the face again. Very slow. Just checking in with the neck. When you address the low back, it's really important to also pay attention to the cervical spine. Cervical and lumbar spine very much work collaboratively. When they're not collaborating, they oftentimes go out of sync. One of them goes into a state of tension. Circle the other direction, make sure you do both. And then release the hands. Good, we're going to come down now onto the floor. We'll come onto the belly.
when I teach poses that work the low back, we can't avoid some of the chest opening poses. So we're going to come down here onto the belly. Now I'm going to take the arms back and interlock the fingers and lift the arms up. I'm slowly going to lift the forehead. I'm going to try to lift the chin. I'm going to try to lift the chest. I'm going to keep the legs on the ground. And then release back down. Good. Take your right hand to your left foot. So you're going to bend the knee. Take your left hand back as well. You did this pose standing. We're going to do it reclined. Bring the heel in. Now try to lift the tip of the knee away from the floor. That minimal action is going to have a very big impact. Release it. Go to the other side. Hands to foot. Bring the heel in. Try to lift the tip of the knee away from the floor. That's all. Keeping the quadricep down does stabilize the hips, so you can focus the stretch right into the quad. Quadriceps again, very strongly related to your low back. If your quads are tight, you're going to have a tight low back, I'll tell you. And then release. Bring the hands behind the back, change the interlock of the fingers, lift the arms, lift the head, lift the chest. You can lift the whole rib cage up. Oh, keep your feet on the ground, it's okay. And then release. Bring your hands forward, and you're going to take the Sphinx pose next. We want to now bring some length into the low back. So we're pressing the pelvis into the floor, lifting the chest, and trying to lift the back ribs as well. That's going to have the effect of lengthening the lumbar spine. Now walk your two arms off to the right at an angle. The hips stay in exactly the same place, but you're going to turn your gaze over that right shoulder. Breathing along the left side of the spine there. Just letting the breath brush against. Feel like the breath is brushing against the spine. Turn. Come on back. And walk the two arms off to the other side. As you steer the torso around, let your gaze follow. And as you breathe, just think about brushing against the right side of the lumbar. And then come back. Good. Lower your head, bend your knees, take your hands to your feet. Just go ahead and bend the elbows and bring the heels in close to the buttocks. And start to lift the knees, the quads, and lift the chest, the head. Come into Dhanurasana. And then release. Bring your head down, release the feet.
Take your hands to the floor, bring your feet and your legs in together and push yourself up. Upward dog with the legs on the ground. Now don't allow tension to creep into the hips. Try to soften the hips. You want to feel that weight of the hips bearing down toward the floor and breathe into the two sides of the lumbar. Look to the right. Look to the left. Back. Lift the hips. And now very slowly, take your knees apart and take child's pose. Oh, slow, slow, slow. Release the head. Good. Come on back up onto the hands and the knees. Take your left arm and slide it through and turn the palm up. Bring the point of the shoulder down. I'm just going to use my hand, the right hand on the floor. I'm not going to lift the right arm up. I'm just going to push down into the floor, keeping the hips stable. Just turn your chest to the right. And lift your right foot and extend it back. You're going to put your toes down on the floor, heel lifted, and push through the heel. Use your right hand to twist. And then bring the knee back in and come on back up. Slowly, always slowly coming out of twists. So I'm going to go to the second side. So taking the right arm now, extending it through, palm is face up. Try to get the point of the shoulder down on the ground. Use your left hand just to bring a little bit of action into the twist. Lift your left leg, send the foot back. You're going to tuck the toes down and push back through the heel. And try to, so if you can feel the length of the back of the leg as you push through the heel, that's great because that's actually cultivating more length in your low back. Good. Bring the knee back in, slide your arm back. And we're going to take downward facing dog. Just as a counter pose, go ahead and lift up. Walk your feet in a little closer towards your hands than you normally might. And bring your heels down. Maximize the stretch now on the back of the leg. Good. Come on down, bend your knees. I'm going to use 2 blocks, but if you only have one, you can use 1 block. So bring your block or 2 blocks behind you and stack them just a little bit apart, just straight back. You're going to change this as you come in because you want the block to support your thoracic. Now, where is that? This is the spot I want to get to is here. It's really literally like the middle of the back. It's not all the way up to the shoulders, just a little bit lower. Okay, so you touch thoracic curve.
So I'm gonna try to come back now in Supta Virasana. As I lean back, I'm setting the block right where I want it, the edge of the block right on that curve. And then I'm gonna reach over and take the second block and move that into place for my head. And if you don't have a second block, it's okay. You don't really need it. Take your arms over the head. If you find you can lower the block or even get rid of that block for the head, you go ahead and do that. Again, an important pose for the low back. Even though the focus appears to be on the chest and upper back, lift your hips and feel that stretch in the quad. One more time. Feel like a drum, quite tight. Draw the tailbone forward. And you know, you can build up enough support to suit your needs. So if this is too low for you and you can't get all the way back, for whatever reasons, you just stack more so you can start off with bolsters or pillows behind you and blocks. So you just make your platform higher. Then reach your arms back, take your hands to the buttocks, thumbs around the buttock, draw the flesh forward toward the heel, beyond the heel, and then take the arms over the head. One more time. You might have to readjust the head. Lift the hips, feel that stretch right into the quads. And then release the hips back down. And then bring the arms back. We're going to start to come up. You just keep the head back, take your hands to the floor. It's really slow. You come up slowly. Take your hands to the buttocks now and pull the sit bones back as you come forward into the pose of the rabbit. So you're going to bring the forearms down onto the ground. It's only fitting that we would do a rabbit pose today. So now just feeling the low back round is what we want. Good, come on up. We're going to flip over onto our backs. For this pose, you may use a blanket and put your head on the blanket. It's going to support your cervical spine while you work and stretch the low back a little bit more. So shoulders on the ground. Lift your right leg and just cross it over the left. Lift your bottom foot off the ground and start to walk your hands down the ankles. You can lift your head and then bring the head back down. You can take, if you can, the hands around the outer edges of the feet. I'm going to use my left hand a little bit more, drawing that left foot in a little bit more, just to bring awareness to the right side. This is the reclined Gomukhasa. Release, uncross, set your feet down, take a couple of breaths. remaining in your body. Remember, the mind usually gets in the way. So you want to sort of turn the volume of the mind down. Just be present in your body as much as you can. Lift your left leg now and cross it over. So thigh on top of thigh. Lift your foot off the ground. Walk your hands down. Flex your heels. And if you can take the hands to the outer edges of the feet, you'll do it. I'm just going to bring a little bit more effort into the right hand, which is essentially the left leg and hip. And try to remain in your body, breath and body. And then release. Take a block, bring it over to your right, towards your shoulder. Lift your right foot. You're going to keep the left knee bent. You're going to reach up to the outer edge of the right foot and take the knee to the block. Now make sure you move the block in so that it supports the knee. And you may want to go lower with the block. The sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. This one does not have to be too intense. We're bringing awareness here to the rotator cuff of the hip. So right where the hip attaches to the thigh, just like the shoulder attaches to the arm. It's the same idea. We're trying to, if you can sense that sort of crescent right around the hip thigh joint. Good. Go ahead and release. Take the block over to the other side. I'm just putting my block in the middle position. Lift the left foot up, bend the knee, turn the knee out, and just take your hand to the outer edge of the foot and set the knee on the block. You can make sure you bring the block into position so that it supports that knee. You don't want to be trying to set the knee vicariously down. You want to make sure it's touching the block. Sole of the foot facing the ceiling. Just breathing and being aware of this, the back of the thigh and hip. And then release. I'm going to bring my block right down in front of the hips, and I'm going to grab the feet and bring the feet into the block. And I'm going to try to press the outer edge of each foot into the block. So getting a little bit more of the inner groin and the inner part of that rotator cuff there. Few more breaths here, Supta Baddha Konasana.
Good. Let's release. Keep your block nearby. Open your blanket a little bit so that you have a surface for your shoulders. I want to take Halasana because Halasana really is a king pose in terms of how much length and space you get in your lumbar spine. So I'm bringing the blanket toward the edge of the mat here. And I want to be pretty specific today about this. I'm folding my mat over about 2/3 the way over the blanket. And then I'm going to keep my block next to me. I'm going to lie down here, shoulders on the edge of the blanket. Your elbows should be able to press into the mat. And the sticky mat should keep your elbows from moving too much. Make sure your shoulders are supported, not your neck, your shoulders. And then you're going to slowly lift the legs over the head. Now, if you get here with the knees bent, that's fine. Just stay here. I'm just going to hold on to my block for a moment. If you can, bring the toes to the ground, walk your feet slightly apart, and take your block and slide it between the thighs. Now try to push the block up. And this has the effect of the whole lumbar region, including the muscles and the connective tissue of stretching. Interlock your fingers, roll your shoulders under, your arms under, and push that block up. And again, if you're here, you can bend the knees. You do not have to keep the legs straight necessarily. You can also put your feet up on a chair. And then I'm going to release the arms out. I'm going to slowly, with the block in place, keeping the legs active, engaged, I'm going to roll down the spine really slowly. Try not to let the hips bounce down. And then bend your knees. Just going to keep the block there for a moment. Pressing into the block. Good. Go ahead and take the block away. And then roll to your side. And you may open your mat. Go ahead and lie back down, but take the blanket just off to the side for this last pose before Shavasana. I'm going to use this block in two ways now. Right under the hips, right along the sacrum. Now we've been working the sacrum to widen it and to lengthen it. So if you think of the sacrum as a sort of diamond shape, it's the 4 points are moving further and further apart. Setu-Baddha Sarvangasana, supported bridge pose. And trying to remain breath and body, body and breath, turning the volume of the mind down. What a great start to the week. Poses today, energizing as well as releasing, drawing on the qualities of
the sun. We're gonna now take the block away and lower the hips. My last pose for today is you're going to take the block between the thighs, walk your heels in, and press into the block and lift. Once you get that tension of the legs pressing into the block, you can feel almost instantly a release in your low back. Pay attention to that. Good. Go ahead and release. You may take the block away. Bring your blanket for your head or a pillow. I want to support the neck by placing the blanket right at the base of the skull. You may lift the legs up on a chair or a wall, or you can extend the legs straight out. Open your arms. Before you fully come into Shavasana, squeeze the hands into fists, squeeze the feet, the knees, the hips, the belly, the chest, the shoulders, the biceps, the triceps, the face, and then release. If you're ever trying to figure out what Shavasana should really feel like, do that little exercise. It's a great thing to do. It's sort of beginning, squeezing the body into this sort of inner point of the body, this central part. And then releasing out of that central part of the body is really what Shavasana is about physically. Letting it all go. So engaging and disengaging your body in these various ways really has the impact of healing. And that combination of working the body, telling the body it needs to continue to work, it needs to continue to draw on its own self to heal, support, and strengthen the body. And then giving the body that moment to fully release. Also an important component for healing and releasing. Letting go. Detaching. Soften the lower jaw, the teeth, the gums, the lower palate. Soften the temples. When you're ready, begin to bring some movement into your
feet and your hands. And then draw the knees into the chest. Roll to your side and help yourself up to a seated position. Again, Virasana is an option. Bring your palms together. Well, in honor of the sun, we will finish today's practice. The sound of Om. And with that Om, we want to bring that vibration into the central axis of the body. So we're going to use the short ah and the long okay? Big inhale. Namaste. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. Enjoy today. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the weather. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Arthur. Funny.
Take care.
Thank you, Arthur.
Bye, Nina.
Wonderful.
Bye, Karina. Bye, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much, Arthur.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Arthur.